Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Earthlings. It's Friday. Friday's a good day for some people. I'm normally the one to get elected to work evenings and weekends, traditionally in bars and various places. But for a lot of people, Friday feeling. Right, let's get into it. I'm going to start with Meghan in a tracksuit because I've just seen it. Black tracksuit, some white stripes down the side. I've got something similar myself. And she was photographed by a TikToker who just happened to be passing by. No idea if that's true or not, or whether that was a sugar staged pap, probably, don't know, and actually don't care. Most of this video is not going to be about that. There are claims that maybe she's going to team up with Adidas or something called Ivy Parks, which I've never heard of before. I doubt it, and as I say, I don't care. I find her less and less and less interesting in the things that she's doing. I think there are far more important issues around this particular couple that need to be scrutinised. I see Harry has released some videos to do with Scotty's Little Soldiers. Well, that's an admirable charity. I'm not going to say too much on this subject, but there are a couple of individuals involved with that charity who have been involved with people trolling me, my family. Not exactly trolling, but more commenting, yeah, that's funny, old slapper deserves it, funny Graham got cancer, you know, that kind of thing, and remarks of my daughters, and they're involved with Scotty's Little Heroes. So every time I hear the name Scotty's Little Heroes, I'm sorry, my association with it is not good. That's nothing, no detriment to the charity. One of them actually seems to be giving advice on Twitter on how to cover your tracks. How to cover your tracks when you've been up to no good. Sounds a bit like, we must be able to deny this in the future. Remember the emails? Jason North, Prince Harry. Remember all that came to light? Which sounds really dishonest, which actually evermore gives the argument, do you need someone who writes, we must be able to deny any involvement in the book Finding Freedom so that we can deny it in the future? Does that sound like some material of a counsellor of a state? Does it? Or anyone in any sort of position? Well, now let's get to this, shall we? Harry's deleted emails and WhatsApps and whatnots. Here we are in court. He's part of a group. I think this one is the Sun newspaper, to do with phone hacking or something like that. You know, another bitter complaint. Another bitter complaint from Harry. Right, so Mr. Justice Fancourt, who comes across to me as a very fair judge because he doesn't say all things that I'd like. That, you know, he's for Harry's side, he's for the defence side. He's trying, as Alan from a YouTube channel called The Art of Law. I'll put a link in the description because I love this guy. He's very good at explaining things, and he explains on more than one occasion judges are trying to solve a puzzle. And Fancourt comes across to me that he is trying to solve a puzzle. Puzzle of all puzzles, getting to the bottom of things with Prince Harry. Good luck, Mr. Justice Fancourt. He used words such as troubling. That things seem to be wiped well after Harry launched his hacking claims. Harry has been ordered to make a statement and make it transparently clear what has happened. What could possibly go wrong? Harry's going to make a statement. Now, we're going to go through this bit by bit together. The defence claimed there are a trove of documents. The Duke of Sussex and Mo Ringer, who ghost wrote Spare. Mo Ringer apparently said, oh, we were WhatsApping and texting, you know, round the clock. Now, let's not forget, Harry, how did Harry phrase it for Spare? You know, this is a complete unvarnished whole truth, you know, told my entire life. So presumably he covered every subject in his entire life. Whether it went into the book or not, he would have discussed it with Mo Ringer. So I agree with Fancourt, Mr. Justice Fancourt, that it is inherently likely that there were relevant documents in that, and they used something called Signal, which I've never heard of before. And the judge basically said, we simply don't know what happened. So let's go through a few things. I've got this on Graham's phone. Yeah, now talking about Mo Ringer thing, quoted in the Daily Mail, it's likely that matters would have been said by the pair that could be relevant to the case, which was launched in 2019. But the messages on the Signal messaging app are said to have been deleted. The judge said, I have seen troubling evidence that a large number of potentially relevant documents and confidential messages between the Duke and the ghostwriter of Spare were destroyed sometime between 2021 and 2023. Well after this claim was underway. The position is not transparently clear, you think, about what happened, and needs to be made so by way of a witness statement from the claimant himself. Well, presumably he's not going to be left alone to make that statement. He'll have somebody with him. I mean, I don't have great faith in the remarks made by his own counsel, Mr. Sherborne. At this point, Mr. Fancock interjected to say, well, we don't know what has happened. It's not at all clear. Harry's barrister, David Sherborne, confirmed the entire chat history was wiped, but said this was a highly necessary process, not to hide anything, but to delete highly sensitive information about Harry and the royal family, which, if leaked, would not only compromise his security, but also be potentially damaging to the Duke and his family. Right. David Sherborne, the entire book, Spare, was one gigantic leak. Harry is a constant leak. But I'm sure nothing was deleted for nefarious reasons. No, of course not. But I do remind everybody of the email Jason North revealed at the Court of Appeal, Judge Warby. We must be able to deny any involvement at a later date. Or words to that effect. Goes on, I mean, this is spicy. Mr. Sherborne dismissed the newspaper's application as an old-fashioned fishing expedition and said there were no documents in existence surrounding the publication of Spare. He said even drafts of the book had been destroyed. Right, well, he would say that, wouldn't he? He would dismiss. That is his job. He's going to dismiss the other side. But he insisted the idea that there is some obstruction or hiding is just nonsense. Mr. Sherborne, I ask you to cast your mind back to the Jason North emails. We must be able to deny any involvement in this at a future date. The idea that there is some obstruction or hiding is just nonsense. I don't think, Mr. Sherborne, that you can criticise people for having their doubts about things your client, Harry, says. Come on, Sherborne, think about it. In his ruling, the judge criticised Harry's lawyers for the apparent, and I've never heard of this word before, paucity of the documents they had so far handed over to the newspaper to help prepare for the trial in a legal process, known as the disclosure stage. He revealed that earlier this month it had emerged there was another large group of documents provided by the royal household to Harry in 2020, about which Harry's lawyers were wholly unaware. Mr. Sherborne, so you guys didn't know all about that, but you're going to find out. I mean, this is the problem, right? I'm just going to pause this for a minute, guys. I've had various different lawyers over the years, and there is no point in lying to your own counsel. In fact, it's extremely damaging to your own case. Because if you lie to your counsel, not that I'm suggesting the Duke of Sussex would lie to his counsel. I'm sure he forgot, you know, his memory fog stuff, maybe. But there's not really very much point in lying to your brief, and you get into court or your brief receives evidence that you've lied. There's no point, especially not if you're paying them. It's really important. I mean, when it comes to criminal cases, I mean, no lawyer can hear a confession and can then go on to conspire to prepare a defence, for example, in a criminal case. So, you know, they will brief you on that. They will say, I don't want to know. Don't ever say that sort of thing to me, because once you've told me that, that's it. That's the road we're going down, because I can't conspire to pervert the course of justice. But we're talking about a civil case here. There's no point in paying a lawyer. Or you're going to make yourself look stupid. You're going to make a lawyer look stupid. Then there's, of course, there's things like perjury. Oh. Is Harry exempt from perjury? I think he might be. Mr. Justice Warby? Is Harry exempt from perjury? Oh, or Meghan? Yeah, anyway, let's carry on. I mean, for his counsel to be wholly unaware. Expressing his concern, Mr. Justice Fancourt said the Duke himself in California, rather than a trained lawyer, had been deciding which documents might be relevant to the case. Mr. Justice Fancourt, I hope you're not suggesting that Harry, the Duke of Windsor, is unqualified to make such decisions. I'm sure he's the most qualified man in the universe. The judge said sometimes he had the impression that even Harry's lawyers don't seem to grapple with the issue, and so it would not be surprising at all if the Duke himself did not fully understand. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think it's a pretty safe bet and conclusion that Harry doesn't entirely understand what's going on. All right, for a multitude of reasons. I'm just going to go out on a limb there. Right. The newspaper's lawyers are also seeking a search of 36,000 emails between Harry and Palace staff. I don't know over what year period. I mean, my God, 36,000 emails. I don't think I've ever had that many emails. I mean, if I looked in my original and my private email box, which I've had for 20 years, I'm not sure I would have that many. It's like the territory of baby reindeer, isn't it? She sent me 41,000 emails. I suppose it depends over what time period. Mr. Hudson alleged Harry's lawyers were kicking and screaming rather than handing them over. Well, don't forget their client did say we must be able to deny this at a later date. He said the Duke did, however, still have access to email accounts associated with the royal household, but which are no longer active. Mr. Sherborne claimed the Duke's solicitors had spent 130 hours at a cost of £50,000 searching through some 35,000 emails. Now, I don't know how many people he had, but 130 hours, if that was one person, I don't think they could go through 35,000 emails. So they must have had like a team of 50 people going through those emails, which would be like £1,000 per person. And that doesn't sound like a lot of money to me. I mean, I think Mr. Sherborne's got his facts and figures on that. You know, it just sounds a little bit off the top of my head, you know. Oh. It doesn't really sound like a well thought out. I mean, I've actually got 1,039 unread emails in my avid@gardner.com for going back to the coronation. And I just, because last year, you know, a lot was going on and I got overwhelmed. And I've been working my way through slowly. I mean, if someone said to me, go and deal with them all today, just the thought of that would panic me. The court was also told there were 2 encrypted hard drives which had been said to be no longer in existence. Okay, so we've got 2 hard drives that are not in existence anymore. Oh, wait a minute. However, yesterday morning, this last week, that would be Wednesday, Harry's solicitors suddenly announced they'd been found. Da, 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 da. Well done. That's awesome, isn't it? One in the Duke's Californian mansion and the other at the offices of his US attorney. Well, isn't that lucky that they suddenly found them? NGN argued they might contain relevant material, but Mr. Sherborne said the files on the drives contained office documents from his time as a working royal and were unlikely to contain anything relevant to the hacking case. Hang on. Wasn't all the hacking going on while Harry was still in the royal family? So they might be relevant, mightn't they? I don't know. I don't know. Well, what are you trying to say, Sherborne? The judge agreed, okay, with that, but separately he ordered a separate search of Harry's text messages and WhatsApps for anything relevant, and said efforts should be made to retrieve the deleted Signal messages with the ghostwriter. Now, I don't know anything about this Signal, but I think in this day and age, yeah, things can be retrieved. Meanwhile, two of King Charles's closest aides are being dragged into this saga, which I bet they just love. Judge ordered Harry's solicitors to write to His Majesty's Private Secretary Sir Clive Alderton and Sir Michael Stevens, the Keeper of the Privy Purse, asking them to disclose any correspondence with the Duke. We'll see what comes of that. Mr. Sherborne said that the suggestion, just a mere suggestion, that his client had dragged his feet, had to be dragged kicking and screaming, had set up some kind of obstacle course, was a monstrous characterisation. Really, Mr. Sherborne? Sorry to drum it home, beat that drum. Who was it who sent emails to Jason North saying we must be able to deny this involvement at a later date? Awkward. Harry had conducted extensive searches. Harry, the Duke of Sussex, has conducted extensive searches. Well, what could possibly go wrong? It's all right, everybody. Calm down, calm down. Stand back. Harry's here to save the day. He's got it under control. Undertaking a physical search of his home in California. A physical search, as opposed to... Is there an alternate reality? When you're looking for a hard drive, you know? I'm looking for this pen. I'm going to do a physical search for this. It's a bit like people who say I'm a fully qualified doctor. No, real doctors don't say that. It's people pretending to be doctors. I'm a fully qualified doctor. Or I'm a fully qualified psychiatrist. I'm not just a psychiatrist, I'm a fully qualified psychiatrist. People add all this extra emphasis in, which just makes them sound like tosspots, in my opinion. The Duke has also contacted Lord Christopher Gite. I'm not sure how much help he's going to get there. They just put Elizabeth II, Our Late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II's former private secretary, Sally Osman, former director of Royal Communications, Sir David Manning, former UK ambassador to the US, and Nick Loughran, the Duke's former deputy communications secretary, who said they did not hold anything relevant from the time period. Why not ask Jason North? He might get something come forth there, I don't know. Just a stab in the dark. Prince Harry was ordered to make an interim payment of £60,000 towards the publisher's costs, because basically, I guess that hearing, that what do they call it? It's not hearing, that application hearing was probably called by them and would have been completely unnecessary had Harry handed over all of the incriminating evidence. Sorry, not incriminating, of course it's not incriminating, bears no relevance whatsoever to the hacking case. I mean, talk about a clown on a world stage. And I suppose Sherborne doesn't care as long as he gets paid. Be careful with that one, Sherborne. All right, be careful with that one. Do a bit of an Experian credit check before you get in any deeper. Only joking, Harry. Don't sue me. Although it might be funny if you did. We can all have a laugh on YouTube about it. So anyway, there you go, everybody. Harry's going to make a statement. He's going to clear the whole thing up. He's going to clear it up. It's all a big misunderstanding. All right? He's never said anything incriminating in an email or a WhatsApp ever before. Oh, wait a minute. No, I won't mention that bit again. But it's worth remembering, isn't it, as always? Thank you very much for listening. Look forward to hear your thoughts and opinions on Harry the Misrememberer, I think was the expression, wasn't it?